But again, you'll notice a difference primarily between the way metaphysics is conceived of in the Western part of the world and the way people conceive of the world in non-Western parts of the world. And we would classify these as dualistic versus monistic or non-dualistic. Okay, so basically you either see the world as everything is broken up into two opposing forces or opposites, that's dualism, right? Or you think the universe is made out of one cohesive entity. Okay, and in general, the kind of metaphysics we see from Western religious traditions, those that we classify historically as the Abrahamic traditions, right? These are dualistic metaphysical views. They conceive of two realms of reality, right? Much like we get from Plato in ancient Greece, right? And the idea is that these are distinct from one another. They oppose one another. One is dependent on the other. And this is ultimately how the Abrahamic traditions conceive of the relationship between God and everything in the physical world, right? So what that means is that when we try to understand the nature of reality, we shouldn't understand things as disparate or disconnected. Instead, we should understand things as interconnected, right? Nothing is really separate from anything else, right? In its true nature or essence, which is why the interconnected relationships we have with one another are so important, right? Because we don't exist in a vacuum independently of other things, right? Our existence is deeply connected with everything else that exists in the universe, right? And so that's going to change, again, their views of other metaphysical things, like the sense of the self, right? We no longer see, or not no longer, but there was never what we would consider to be an individualistic sense of self in Eastern or African philosophies, right? And so this is most obviously characterized in the African notion of Ubuntu, right? So this is the idea that wellness, right, or any sort of goodness on a part of an individual is really only defined by how well the entire group is doing, right? So there's no sense of like an individual winning or losing, right? You either win or lose as a group, as a community. Everything is seen in the sense of how it affects everyone rather than just the individual, right? That's very opposite to what we are used to in the West. Everything in the West is about you, and how you are so special and so different from everybody else, right?